Hey guys, Dave here. Today, what we're going to do is go into Davinci Resolve and look at how I color grade my S-Log2 footage from my Sony A73 camera. And I've taken a lot of people's examples, working with Sony 4 and HLG and all that. Look at a lot of Gerald Undone videos. Tried Cody Blue's custom picture profile for Sony, and a bunch of others, probably thousands of videos. But anyway, I have put a S-Log2 profile together and matched all my colors to a color card, and I'll have a link in the description to everybody I've mentioned and things I've learned. So let's go ahead and get into it here. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import some video I took earlier. Let's see here, and let me open it up. Alright, so I think this is it. Let me turn on what I got here. I think this is it right here. Okay, I'm gonna choose change because it doesn't really matter. It's 24 frames a second. And let's see what I got here. Okay, this is S-Log2 footage. Actually, I think what I did was use S-Log2 straight from the camera at the default setting. So let's go ahead, and we don't need the audio. So when you double click on a video to show it in the previewer, you can add just the video or the audio or both. So if you click and drag in this little film strip down into your timeline, there you go, you won't have the audio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select this little tool, which is called Trim Edit Mode, or press T on your keyboard to go to it. And if you want to get back, you press A, so A and T. I am going to just grab this corner and pull it down until I find my starting spot. So and start right here and look at my ending and pull that down till I get where my end is. Right here, okay. And you can press Control Shift Z on your keyboard to expand this timeline to fit the whole thing. And I'm gonna turn the mixer off because I don't need it, and hit Control Z twice to get back to that. I'm not gonna use any sound on this, so I'm gonna expand this up. So we have this footage right now, and also in the previewer, if you zoom out or have it all over here, you can just press Z to get it always back to fit. It's like you're choosing fit mode. Yep. Okay, I don't need the media pool anymore, and right now I don't need the inspector. But what I'm gonna do is in my timeline up here, I'm going to choose output banking and set it on a 2.35. That gives you nice cinematic bars on your timeline. And I recorded this at 4K, so I'm going to zoom in till my head gets close to the top there, maybe right at the tip top, and I'm going to slide over on the X position somewhere around this, so I get my one laptop to put in the screen of that. Maybe a little bit other here, maybe right on the edge. But anyway, it's better like this. Right on that shadow of the background. Okay. Alright, let's go to the color tab, which is down here, this little color wheel thing. One thing you can do here is, there's a pretty neat trick. I think it might only be in the Pro version. If you go open the effects up, open effects. And let's see, can I slide this a little more? Alright, so down here you got color space transform. This is a cool little trick, and actually I have to wait for autosave. Autosave is a really good feature to have on. It will save your butt. Okay, color space transform. I'm going to make another serial node by pressing Alt S on the keyboard, You can also get to it by going to color and go to nodes and add a serial node. See Alt S, here's all your shortcuts. Alright, so I'm going to add the color space transform to that node. And what it is, I filmed this using the Sony, let's see, I used the S gamut, and then the input gamma was S-Log2. Okay, so that turns it into that. And we want it to be 709, so let's change that to Rec 79 and output gamma to also 709, wherever that is, just like that. Okay, so that gets you in a good starting point, but you can tell it's over here on the scopes. All my highlights are blurred out, so what you can do is, cool little trick, in your contrast, if you pull your pivot all the way down to 0 and then start pulling the contrast down till you get all, okay, so you get all this down below that line. And then what you need to do is get to your second page here and pull your highlights back up to 100%. And let's see, and pull the shadows down just a little bit, like that. And then let's see what else I want to work up here. The gain, I'm going to bring the gain back up to around somewhere in this range maybe. Yeah, see, these are my mids, and you'll see there's more red than green and blue. And if you go to your temperature right here, you can pull more blue into the scene, and you'll bring up this blue level in the scopes. So if you want it to be balanced, you can get it right there, and then pull your temp, which is going to be a green, right here. So as long as I get these pretty balanced, and then I'm going to go pull the red up just a little bit. I kind of like it to be a little bit more red than green than blue. So now what I'm going to do is, if you look at this is S-Log2 footage, and if I disable all the effects of this node, went from that very flat profile to that. And all I did was add the color space transform and set it to Rec 79. Now you can play around with these. Like Rec 2020 isn't going to have different colors altogether. Like you'll see that the reds turn more towards the orange, which I don't like. It's supposed to be red. And you can try these different ones. There's a trick in, that I found in Davinci. If you middle mouse click on one of these and then start using your scroll wheel, you'll be able to go through all these, and you can quickly just kind of go through them all. Like I'm just going to kind of scheme through all these, and you might find one that you like better, like this one. This is Blackmagic 4K film. Change my mind, I don't like it. So we keep going through these. This one is Blackmagic Design Video. That's not bad. That's close to 709. And you can just keep email clicking and keep going through these. That's Gamma 2.2, not too bad. 2.4 is not bad. I mean, all those gammas are pretty good. And we're back to the 709. 709A is a little bit less contrasty, but I like mine just in that. So I'm going to keep it like it is. Alright, there's a lot more to do here too. And you can change color spaces, like say you want it to be in the Alexa color space. And then something like, I don't know, try different settings there. So just kind of coming through right here. So that's not too bad, but see, those aren't very red, so I'm gonna go back to how I had it. sRGB is also a pretty good color space. And one way you can find out this stuff too is I'm gonna go full screen on these, and it looks like it's way blurred out on the saturation, but I've got it set to 2x zoom, so put that down and you'll see that the saturation is fine. Alright, so this CIE color match city, whatever it is. You see all the different gamuts in here. See, S-Gamut3 Sony is way up here on this triangle right here, and then Rec 79 is just in this amount of color space, right? S-Gamut3 Sony has a lot more color detail within. So anyway, I'm not going to use that anymore. Alright, so that's how I color graded that. One thing we're going to do is disable these, and I'm going to create a new serial node, Alt-S, and this time I'm going to Lutz, and there's one particular LUT that I downloaded from a guy, and I'll have a link to that LUT as well, or to his video. How about that? Let's link to his video. And I think I'll put it inside my Sony directory here, and it's called S-Log2 correction. Now, the S-Log2 to 709 from Sony, I don't really like those because here's the default S-Log2, and if I apply these, see, look at that, it's terrible. This one's not so bad. This is the S-Log, well, I meant S-Log3 for one, that's not right. But that does look good, you can totally use it. I mean, it looks really good. But, you see there's still noise back here. They didn't get rid of the noise, they didn't crush it. So, these LUTs now have a link to it. S-Log2, here we go. S-Log2 to Sony, way too bright. I don't like any of these. Right off the bat, I mean, not good. So I'm gonna go back, and this guy's, this correct, right off the bat looks great. Let me choose close that. Open FX. Look at that. From that to that. You know, now if you look at the one I created, mine's close. I don't have as much orange in my skin tone as with this one. But this one looks really, really good. And the reds look like red. Let me look at mine. So you'll notice in mine, there's more noise, I think, in mine than if you go to this one right here. It's about the same. Alright, so once you have that, I want to pull up my scopes and make sure everything's pretty good. One thing I want to do is bring up the highlights just a tad, shadows down just a little bit, and let's see what I want to do with my temperature. Bring that temperature down a little bit. It's not bad. And now I'm going to go into what I want to do here. We're going to go into the vector scope. That looks good. Now if you were to go into page 1 here and go to saturation and crank this up, you'll see that, you know, this is as far as you can push it right there, right in that area. So you kind of want to keep a color in one of the boxes, like say it's red and it's right inside that little box. You can push it all the way here if you like it really saturated. It doesn't look too bad. I'm just going to put it right to the edge of this box. And what we're going to do is you can click P on your keyboard to go full screen. Okay, it's not too bad. I'll play that. One thing about Davinci 2, see when it's playing, it's less sharp, but when you go frame by frame, see it's sharp again. It just can't, Davinci Resolve just cannot play it real time and maintain its sharpness for some reason. Anyway, do that and then hit Alt-S to add another node, and what you can do is you can go look at some LUTs that come with Davinci, but there's a lot of free ones you can download. I mean, a lot of free ones. And let's see, what's a good one that's free here? I'm trying to think. This right here, 35 free LUTs. You can type that in and search Google, but if you look at these, you got all these different effects. And the thing is, like some of these, most of these are really, really strong. And I'm going to show you once I find one that I want to work with. Like, see, this is really blue. What you can do is, that's 100%. If you click on the key right here, this icon, you'll see that the key output is at 1. If you do like 0.5, it'll be half that. See? And of course you can drag and kind of go where you want to go with this. And pretty easy to add. If you double click on pretty much any title in Davinci, it'll reset. So that's something to get used to as well. Or reset it all. So if you mess with a bunch of settings, you can click this little icon, which will reset everything in this key here back to its default. So let's go through some of these again. So this one's pretty good, the Django 25, and I would only cut that down to about 0.8, maybe 0.6. I mean, even at 0.5. And let me go full screen. Now, if you hit Control D on your keyboard, you can disable all those effects and go, or the effect you got selected. So that's the correction I did with OneNode, and then I added Django. This makes it look really nice. Okay. Now, also in here, if you hit Shift D, it'll disable all of your nodes. So you'll see there's a flat profile. Here's with all the effects. So that's a big difference. Alright, so I can go through some of these. I'm going to reset my key output back to 1 so I can see what the full effect of these Luts. Fader is pretty cool. It adds red. So if you drag that down to half, you'll have this cool red in the shadows look. Does that look kind of neat? But you know, that one's still pretty strong, so 0.2 or 3 or something like that would be nice. I'm gonna double click on that and put it back. Foster's a one I like a lot, especially at like 0.6 or 0.3 maybe. That one looks really good. Yeah, if I disable that, see, that's my default, and it just takes a little bit of red out, adds a little bit of contrast. Okay, so that's a good one. That's why I have it favored right here. Like beside any LUT, you can click on the star to favorite it. And if you go down to favorites here, you'll see all the ones you favored. If you want to unfavorite, you just unstar it. So let's see here. Go back to this 35 free, and I was on Foster, so go through some of these. Fusion makes it kind of bluish, like Arctic. Linux is pretty good. Adds contrast, and you drag this down to your liking, somewhere in that range. That's pretty good. And if I disable that, so changes the eye color a little bit though. I mean, it makes the reds a little bit better. That's pretty nice. Let me put this back at 100. Lucky McKinnon. I think they got that from Peter McKinnon. He's a YouTuber and a photographer. Does video stuff too. Do that like 0.5, maybe 0.3. And then look at that full screen. Disable and enable. It kind of let's see. One thing before we get too far ahead is turn the Lutz off. And if you notice, let me go 100% here. See the noise that's back here? That's your regular noise. The only problem with S-Log gammas is your minimum ISO on the Sony A73 is 800. You can't start anything lower than that, so you're going to have noise right off the bat, and that's why they tell you to, when you film in S-Log2, to overexpose by around 2 stops or a little bit more, because what you're going to do is you're going to crush all that overexposure, just push it down so you're crushing the blacks, and you'll get rid of all that noise when you do that, because most of the noise happens in shadows. So that's the purpose for that. So anyway, what I like to do is before any of my nodes here before my LUT or any of that, I like to hit Shift S adds it before, and you'll notice it's before. And I go to, and you have to have the paid version of Davinci to go into this part. It's only like $300, and you get all the updates forever, and that's a one-time fee. And you get quite a few good features like noise reduction, which I use all the time, but I don't use a lot of it. So one thing I learned from somebody was on YouTube was you uncheck that and you keep it on fast or small. Normally this looks terrible, right, if you crank it all the way up. So you're only going to add like 2. If I take this off, just look at this noise back here. See all this noise? If you just do a 1, you don't do anything, or a 1, it doesn't do much. But do something like a 2, look at that, 2 does really nice. 3, 4. Anything beyond 4 starts getting a lot of artifacts, so I'm going to kind of keep it down like 2.4 or something like that. Okay, so I usually do 2.2, which you still see noise there. 2.6, and that'll be fine. I'll pull this back. And one thing that happens, let me go back to 100%, is if I uncheck this, see some of the detail in skin especially is lost a little bit. It softens it. To fix that, all you gotta do is go to the Sharpening right here, click on the first tab. It says blur, but if you drag this up, it'll blur. Drag this down, it'll sharpen. So, depends on what you want to do. Click that to reset it. So, you take your mouse wheel and scroll down once, and it will go right on 47. Alright? That's usually all you need, just go down once. I mean, but if you feel like it's, especially if you go full screen, it always looks a little bit sharper with full screen than when you're viewing it here for some reason. That's something in Davinci, but so what you can do is put it at 0.48, and that's only, if you look at the default, it's 50, so you're only going down 2 points, and then look at it full screen. So, and then hit Control D to turn it on and off. This is a very subtle sharpness in the hair and eyes. There you go. Let's go ahead and end with that, and I'll see you next time.